In a lot of other places in IT, we use controllers or management systems to manage our devices. So for instance, in the wireless area, in a lot of places, we're using a wireless controller. In the voice area, we're using something like Call Manager to manage all of our phones. In the server area, we're using something like vCenter to manage all of our ESX hosts. And now for the network, we're getting away from managing individual devices, and we're using a controller that can see across our whole entire network and start correlating information for us. It can start configuring the network for us. It can start pulling health information from the network for us. And it can start generating documentation for us, as well as helping us configure reusable policy that we can use over and over again to ease the administrative burden on our network. And that's exactly what the APIC does. The APIC is the controller for Cisco's SDN solution. As I mentioned before, the controller comes in odd numbers, so in most cases, people have 3 to start with. Those 3 controllers are appliances that run on modified C-Series servers that plug in to your ACI network. And once they plug into your network, they start auto-configuring your network. The switches become zero-touch. They program the network for you based on the policies you define. And once you define policies, we automatically start collecting health scores. You can see here on the slide on the left-hand side that I can see my system health. That's a combination of all the applications that are running on my network and the physical health of the switches that the applications are running on. I can see the health of my physical switches. I can see the health of my tenants in my network, which can be separate business units. They can be separate companies running on the network. They might just be separate administrative domains. But the point is, I've got more visibility into my network than I've ever had before. Now, the controller is really just a programming interface that I can interact with any way I want to. I can interact with it through the GUI. I can interact through it the API. I can interact through the NXOS command line if I want to. But the APIC becomes a single point of management for my entire fabric. I get away from managing individual devices, and I manage the entire fabric with policies. And the entire fabric starts to act like one big virtualized switch. Except for with this switch, I have more management capabilities than I've ever had. I have more visibility into the traffic that's running on the switch with my health scores and being able to see into layer 4 through 7 devices and do troubleshooting. I can apply security from end to end in my environment with my whitelist fabric, where the whole fabric basically becomes a layer 4 firewall. I can troubleshoot better than I ever been able to before because the system helps me do it. We can see across the whole fabric. We can see every device that's connected to the fabric, whether it's physical or virtual. We can track communications between my mainframe and another physical server, or my mainframe and my VMware server, or my VMware server and my Microsoft server. We can see everything that's happening. And the best part is we start to correlate that information for you. So this is a troubleshooting session that I actually started on the controller, where I can see that between one device and another, I can see exactly which switches are involved in that communication. And it's not showing me all 40 switches. It's only showing me the 5 switches that I need to be concerned with during this troubleshooting session. As well as the fact in the middle, I can see the devices that traffic is traveling through, the layer 4 through 7 devices. So I can see the firewall that's involved in the communication, the load balancer that's involved in the communication. And it doesn't matter if my endpoints are physical or virtual, I still get this same functionality. So you can see this is very powerful, and it changes the way that we do things. So you can spend less time logging into switches and looking at event logs and configuring ports and gathering information, and more time getting to the bottom of any issues that you have, or spending time on high-value projects that make your boss happy because you're not managing your network on a switch-by-switch basis. This is the exact same thing we do in UCS, where we made the servers stateless and we have the policy that we can put on any server. With this, we made the network stateless, and we have a policy that follows the application. And the APIC controller is in the heart of that. Please join me for the next lesson, 8.4, Understanding Basic Policy Resolution.